out of that envelope of danger and back into the safe studio. Raiden are looking like one of the better teams, in my opinion. That was a fairly cool setup.
Super cool setup.
Yeah, just as we were talking about how teams are starting to pick the more popular, the Rush setups and Vindicator setups. There we saw 2 completely new ones.
Yeah.
And Nightmares.
And flagships.
Yeah,
Is this the day 2 effect? I've won 1 game, and now I'm just going to put everything out there and maybe take it easy game 3 because you need that second win.
This is an important, very important match. I think these matches today are more important than could be on day 3 of the group stages, because by group 3 you already know if anyone's got 2 wins or 0 wins, and it might not be as important as right now.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick look at the group we just concluded. Well, let's take a look at the 4 groups, but especially pay attention to this Darkseid versus, or Darkseid and Raiden, looking fairly certain. That group is basically decided. Evoke needed this win to have any hope of going on to the final Sunday. They won't now. It will be Darkseid and Raiden. From Group E, it'll be Exodus and Heretic Nation. And we're about to start Group G, where Shadow Cartel had what is easily one of the most exciting setups. For those who don't remember, what exactly were Shadow Cartel up to?
They brought as much gank as they possibly could. It was all Taluses and Brutixes, no support except for some Frigs. And it was even like passive shield tanked instead of trying to run some kind of more resilient anything. They just did as much damage as they could.
It was honor tanked.
Yeah, it was honor tanked. There was no long-term DPS. It was all straight up front DPS. Yeah, win or lose.
It was so weakly tanked that Ravy actually thought they were just structure tanked. I mean, he literally thought they
just the DCU.
The damage controls was pretty much all they had, as far as I know.
That wasn't true, but I mean, it's pretty close to that.
All right, well, that was a wonderful game. This one was pretty cool. So there's a lot of talk about controlling the range in this match. How exactly did Raiden do this?
Well, their ships were faster. I mean, that's kind of the risk. I think people get attracted to Nightmares because they project damage pretty well. Lasers give you a lot of optimal, but the ship itself doesn't move around the field very well. And then even when you do get to where you're trying to go, it's hard to hold stuff down. They were kind of low on... You know, they didn't have a Hugin, and unlike a Vindicator, they can't keep stuff pinned.
But they also had a Lachesis, or Lachesis.
No, that was on the other side.
No, that was Raiden.
That was Raiden.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about Nightmares.
Oh. No, so Raiden were using the Lachesis with the damps
to
keep the Nightmares.
Which people, I know I forgot at first that Lachesis has even had an RSD bonus, because I usually think of them as pointing and having a shield tank. But yeah, they kept those Nightmares RSD throughout the entire match. I wonder how many RSDs they had. I think Lachesis have 7 mid slots, so it could be a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, a super exciting match, and finally some nice and different setup.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool setup. I mean, it was perfect in this match because since they're faster, they can use the damps to just totally turn off all the DPS from the Evoke side, but it actually could be really good in a setup. I mean, in a match against a one of the other setups is popular. Like against a Rush setup, they can use the damps to shut out logistics, so they can make sure you kill stuff. So it like increases their DPS against logistics-based setups, and then can turn DPS off against kiting setups, which is pretty awesome.
I mean, they basically switched the DPS off in this one. We saw some close shots of the Nightmare, and they weren't even shooting. Like they were just
couldn't target.
Balloons getting poked by needles.
That's right.
Or lasers.
I always think of Nightmares as balloons.
Balloons, yes. Well, anyway, so that was a fairly convincing win. Next up is Shadow Cartel versus Percussive Pizza Time Diplomacy.
I hope Shadow Cartel brings like 4 Prophecies, a Guardian, a Damnation, and 3 Punishers. Like the tankiest setup they can do.
I hope they tank even less than last game.
I don't.
Just abandon the shield extenders. Just forget it.
I hope they bring the exact same team.
All right, so we have Percussive Pizza Time Diplomacy. Their flagship is a Balgorn called XL Pepperoni Sausage. That's a bit of a...
That makes me hungry.
Aye. And they've lost 2 matches this tournament to Rote Capello, which is a fairly good team. Haven't done that well this tournament so far. Beat Romanian Legion, lost to Gypsy Band, and they're about to fight Shadow Cartel. Sastro, who's going to win this one?
Man, I really wish that I could say Percussive Pizza Time Diplomacy some more, but Shadow Cartel made me so happy yesterday. I'm going with them.
You said it the same amount. Either way.
I could say it next week.
Shadow Cartel.
All right.
I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that name, so Shadow Cartel.
All right, I think I might go with Shadow Cartel as well. Let's hope they're tanking even less today.